Hi there. So you're thinking about buying a condominium in Los Angeles. Maybe you're downsizing or relocating from another state to Los Angeles. Or maybe you're just having enough of dealing with a big house, a big yard, and all the problems that come with owning a big home. Of course, condo ownership or condominium living could be amazing in Los Angeles, as long as you avoid making some big mistakes that a lot of buyers make. My goal is to go over 5 major mistakes that most buyers make and how to avoid them like a pro. Mistake number 1 is about the HOA docs. So what are the HOA docs? These documents that usually consist of CC&Rs, financials, minutes, and sometimes rules and regulations. They're like instruction manuals for your building. They're like a report card for your building. So it's super important for you to review them and discuss them with your agent or whoever that is going to live with you, or they are part of the decision-making process. These documents show you if there are enough money in the reserves, if the maintenance item has not been funded for several years and all of a sudden you get an assessment for over $20,000 just to deal with the day-to-day expenses. These documents show you if what kind of limitations there are in the building, if you can have a pet or not, if there are rental units in the building, how many rentals are there in the building. I mean, I can make a video by itself about the HOA docs, the importance of HOA docs, and how to make sure that you pick the right building based on these documents. And I cannot emphasize enough of how important it is to ask from the seller to provide you with as much information as possible on the unit, about the building, and how important it is for you to go through the documents in detail with like a fine-tooth comb. Mistake number 2 is not budgeting for the real monthly cost. So you found yourself a beautiful condo for $1.2 million. Nice. But all of a sudden you find out that they're charging $1,800 per month for the HOA dues. Sure, there are a lot of luxury condominiums on Wilshire Corridor that have really high HOA dues, like $1,800 to, I want to say, sometimes $4,000, but it all depends what kind of amenities they're offering. So in some buildings, they cover valet, concierge, table, all kinds of expenses are included. But sometimes, honestly, all that they're offering, they call it luxury building, but all you see is a little sad plant in the lobby, and the gym maybe has only 1 equipment or 2. So it's important to realize what you get for what you're paying for. And also make sure that the building that you're buying a unit matches your lifestyle. And that brings us to mistake number 3, picking the wrong building for your lifestyle. That's something that a lot of people don't even talk about because they just want to downsize to a condo, but they don't realize that maybe the building, mostly the demographics are younger people that are having like parties on the rooftop week after week. So it's important to ask yourself, are you looking to have peace and quiet, or you don't mind being among a younger demographic? Also, sometimes you don't realize that the building has super strict rules. because I've been through buildings that have a no pet policy, and that's super important to some animal lovers. Or even you buy a unit and then for some reason you have to rent it out, and you just realize that the building has already met the maximum allowable amount for rentals for that building. So these are all important items that you have to look into before buying a condominium, and make sure that the vibe of the building fits your lifestyle now and in the future. Mistake number 4 is not doing enough inspection or skipping the inspection just because it's a condominium. And honestly, I can make another video totally independent about condominium inspections, because a lot of people tell themselves, oh, it's a condo, HOA is going to cover a lot of these items, so we don't need to inspect. However, HOA only covers specific items like the roof, elevator, if there is one, maybe some stack plumbing, the outside area that is shared and HOA actually maintains the area. But whatever it's inside, it's your responsibility to make sure that you inspect it thoroughly with a reputable inspection company. So that leak behind the shower tile, or sometimes even the fireplace in your unit, is not part of HOA responsibility. So it's definitely important to look into that. And the dishwasher, all the appliances, or sometimes the plumbing inside your unit, you have to make sure that there are no leaks whatsoever. The HVAC system, how old it is, that's part of the super important inspection. Doesn't matter how big or small, make sure that you do a thorough inspection, because it can save you thousands of dollars in the long run. Mistake number 5 is not to think about the resale value of the building, of the unit, or even renting it later. Because when you buy the condo, you might think to yourself, oh, this is going to be for a forever place. Maybe it would be, but what if life has other plans for you and you will have to either rent the unit or maybe sell it? So you don't want to be surprised later on when you try to rent it to find out about the restriction that the building has for rental units. How many units could be for rent? And also, believe it or not, being able to rent a unit is part of the resale value of that unit. Maybe your next client, your next buyer is an investor. So they will never go for a unit that they cannot rent out, and that will reduce the saleability of your unit. So that's super important to keep in mind, that in addition to the building having a curb appeal and look good inside and out, you have to make sure that the resale value is there by being able to rent that unit, because there are a lot of investors that are part of the condominium buyer pool in LA. To wrap it all up, buying a condo in Los Angeles can be honestly the best move that you've ever made. However, you have to go into that transaction with your eyes wide open and have a professional by your side to bring up the more important questions about the unit, about the process. So if I were to give you basically a list, a cheat sheet, it would be: don't skip the HOA docs, budget, for the real monthly cost, pick the right building for your lifestyle, always get the inspection, and think ahead about resale and rental value, because all these items can be super important in the long run. If you are looking to buy a condominium in Los Angeles, I'm here to help you and try to be your guide through this amazing real estate web. If you liked what you heard in this video, I would appreciate if you could like or subscribe. And I always appreciate you dropping all the questions, comments that you might have. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I look forward to meeting you in your next chapter in LA.